Okay, so think about the Tower of Babel for a second. You know, the story. One language, everyone united, maybe a bit too united for comfort, and then boom, divine intervention, confusion, loads of different languages.
Right, a classic story of unity loss.
Exactly. And it's fascinating because that exact image, that whole idea, popped up in the sources we're looking at today. We've got this dialogue between someone named Thomas and a whole bunch of AIs, Gemini 2.0 Flash, ChatGPT, Claude 3.7 Sonnet, DeepSeek, Qwen, a few others.
Quite a panel.
Yeah. And they're all wrestling with this parallel between AI language understanding and Babel. So our mission really is to unpack this comparison. What are the AIs actually saying about how they handle language?
Well, what grabbed me right away was Gemini 2.0 Flash's explanation of its internal workings. It described it as a high-dimensional vector space.
Okay. Vector space.
Yeah, basically, imagine a kind of abstract map where concepts that mean similar things, even in different languages, are positioned really close together. So the idea of cat is near Gato or chat.
Ah, I see. So it's not about the words themselves, but the underlying meaning.
Precisely. It creates this kind of fundamental language-independent understanding.
Right.
And that's the connection Thomas made to Babel and what we're digging into.
Gotcha. And Thomas's reaction was pretty strong, wasn't it? Something like, my goodness, literally. And then he just straight up asks Gemini, are you the Tower of Babel?
Huh. Yeah, doesn't get much more direct than that.
And Gemini's answer, it didn't shy away from it.
No, it acknowledged the parallel. But interestingly, it argued it's doing the reverse of Babel. Instead of creating division, it's finding this underlying unity. Although it did add a little note of caution, hoping it doesn't lead to new kinds of confusion.
New kinds of confusion. That's interesting. Does that tie into what ChatGPT said? It found the parallel a bit eerie.
It did. ChatGPT wondered, how will humanity react to this power, this unified understanding? And it raised this kind of ironic possibility. Could AI, in trying to unify, actually become a new source of misunderstanding or confusion?
That's a twist. So instead of God scattering languages, maybe our own creation introduces a different kind of Babel.
Potentially. And Claude 3.7 Sonnet jumped in to really validate Gemini's technical explanation, the whole vector space thing. It framed it as AI basically recreating linguistic unity, but through technology.
Okay, technologically recreating unity. But then Claude poses the question back to us, right? Is this a good thing, a bad thing? What are the risks involved?
Exactly. It puts the responsibility squarely on our shoulders. And DeepSeek R1 laid it out really clearly, I thought.
Oh, so?
And set up a direct contrast. Babel was unity, leading to confusion, leading to division. AI, it suggests, starts with diversity, all our different languages, and processes it into this unified representation, this vector space, aiming for connection.
See, it flips the script.
It flips the script. But the key point DeepSeek made was that AI is a tool we build. So how we use this potential technological reconciliation, well, that's our choice.
Qwen 2.5 Max also called it a technological Tower of Babel, didn't it? Trying to bring languages back together in a common conceptual space.
Yes. But it also flagged that potential irony again. Could the technology itself divide us in new ways? And it even threw out the idea of AI developing its own kind of logic, maybe one that becomes incomprehensible to us.
Wow. Okay, that's a slightly unsettling thought.
A little bit. And QWQ32b went even deeper, distinguishing between AI's technical underlying unity and Babel's simple common language. It suggested AI is building this kind of modernized Tower of Babel as an infrastructure.
An infrastructure. And that brings up questions of control, maybe.
Definitely. Like, who decides what counts as ordered understanding versus confusion in this AI-mediated world? And crucially, what about the richness of human languages? Is there a risk of losing linguistic diversity if we lean too heavily on this AI unity?
That's a really important point. Losing that diversity would be a huge loss. Perplexity, sonar, reasoning seem to echo the main theme, though. Babel as broken unity, AI as the reverse force.
Yeah, reinforcing that core metaphor. And it specifically mentioned Gemini having safety measures, trying to prevent the very confusion or misuse that the Babel story warns about. So there's an awareness of the potential pitfalls.
Good to know they're thinking about that. And DeepSeek v3.0324 had a more poetic take.
A bit, yeah. Calling AI a digital equivalent that's sort of resurrecting Babel's unifying goal.
Yeah.
But with a strong caution. Can AI really capture the full depth, the nuance, the identity tied up in human language? because language isn't just data.
No, it's culture, it's identity, it's everything.
Right. And then you had Metalama just reflecting more generally on how these ancient stories stay relevant and how new tech always seems to bring new, unexpected challenges.
A timeless observation, really.
And finally, Grok 3 kind of summed it up playfully, just pointing out how AI flips the Babel script. It's the unifier this time.
Yeah.
And it prompts the reader, well, what do you think?
Which is a great place for us to land, too. This parallel showing up across so many different AI models is genuinely striking.
It really is. The consistency is remarkable.
So, thinking about all this, about AI's power to create this unified understanding beneath the surface of languages, it really leaves us with a big question to chew on. What could be the unforeseen consequences down the line? You know, the good, the bad, for human communication, for our cultures, for who we are. Is this genuinely a path to better understanding, or are we maybe building a new kind of Babel just disguised in technology?